Today is a special day. I thought we were going to be drafting the usual best ball mania, but no. Underdog just dropped 3 new tournaments. Love the format of 2 of them. The Golden, not my personal favorite. The Golden is a winner take all. I am not really interested in that. I would be so freaking heated if I got second place. So instead, we're going to be focusing in on the Pug 2, the Hound Dog 2. If you wanted to get in these drafts, probably got to do it quickly. I mean, they just dropped today, and the Hound Dog 2 looks like it's going to fill relatively quickly. So that's going to be the first one we're going to do in the live stream today. This is a $6 buy-in, $100,000 prize pool, $20,000 for first, $10,000 for second, all the way down the line. We are going to do the 20-second timer. No, I need to give Underdog my location real quick, just in case you forgot. You have to be in one of these states to draft on Underdog. And your boy's in Texas, so let me give my location real quick with Safari. Safari always blocks it. And then we can go ahead and we can successfully, oh God, we got to scroll so much to find this, hop in the Hound Dog 2. So we are in here. And let's see what pick we get. Okay, I was about to get, I'm such a dummy. I was about to be overly confident, flex a little bit, that we were going to be in a spot that guaranteed us a strong wide receiver out the gate. I have had so many drafts off the live stream where I'm picking at 3, 4, 5, 6. It's almost as if I'm guaranteed one of those picks at this point. Here we get picking 10 instead. Pick 10 is kind of whatever. We'll make it work. Dan out here with us to pick 8, though. Happy to draft against you, my friend. Venice in here at pick 1. Ooh, let me pull up the chats on the screen. Let's see. I saw we have a couple other people in this draft as well. Cade in here at 11. DeMarcus in here at 2. I see Waffle Taco. Yes, there you are in the chat. There at 4. I don't know if you noticed, my friend, but I was actually in a draft with you off the live stream today as well. And we're going to be doing the shortest timer possible in every single one of these live streams. If there's a 15-second timer, I'm doing the 15-second timer. If there's a 20-second timer, I'm doing a 20-second timer. Honestly, freaking love the setup that Underdog has right now with those. But Jeep Guy says, was thinking the video you dropped today was the one where you were going to destroy my dreams of Neighbors being good. No, the video today, we didn't talk about Malik Neighbors, my friend. I promise you the video probably over the weekend. I haven't even recorded it yet. We just did the research for it. I'll probably record it tomorrow. I was going to record it today. A lot happened today. We'll dive into it. But real quick, point out in this draft, very interesting. 2 things have happened. 1, you see CeeDee Lamb go at 1. I've seen this a little more often as of late. 2, we actually see Jefferson before Jamar. So Jamar falls down to pick 5. 3, we see Breece Hall at 7. Garrett Wilson goes at 8. So very, very interesting. We're going to go ahead. We're going to get Bijan Robinson at 10. I actually saw, I don't know if this is a trend. It's way too early to say it's a trend. But in a draft I was in off the live stream today, I also got Bijan at 9 like Barbershack does. I am almost certain Barbershack's a member of the flock. But yeah, they get Bijan at 9. I'm almost certain I got Bijan at 9 and then followed it up with Drake London afterwards. But here, let's see what Cade does. Cade went Puka at pick 11. Goes Jonathan Taylor. So we're going to take Drake London. I'm not a big London guy. I think that London's very similar to all the other round 2 wide receivers here. So a lot of times at the beginning of round 2, I'll reach on someone that's going into 2-3 turns, so we can have a unique combo at the end. But if you look at the way the ADPs line up, with A.J. Brown primarily going at pick 9, London going primarily at pick 15, while for sure there's going to be overlap between these guys, I don't think it's like every single draft you're going to see them combined like you will with Jahmyr Gibbs and Marvin Harrison Jr. But Sherney says Mixon or Amari in Dynasty. Mixon drafted 2017, Amari drafted 2015. Both players incredibly young coming out. You'd imagine that the runway on both options are about similar, where you're really just projecting them out for this next season. So I would say it really just comes down to if you need a running back or a wide receiver. I mean, obviously you're only interested in those assets on a contending team anyway, but really going to be up to you. But after we go London, you have Nico, Waddle, Barkley, Olave, Adams, Ayuk off the board. Debo goes to 22. So I definitely have noticed these Niners wide receivers slipping down draft boards just a bit. But really quick, let me remind y'all, if you don't know what we're doing, we're drafting on Underdog Fantasy. This is what I do every single day, off the live stream, on the live stream. It doesn't matter. At this point, I'm in drafts 24/7. I've drafted on Underdog every day for years now. It's by far and away my favorite place to draft. It's best ball, so there's no time commitment at all during the season. That's how I'm able to draft so many teams. And of course, if you wanted to join a draft with us or just a draft in the public lobby, you can find that link in the description, in the comment section, in the live chat. I won $150,000 on Underdog 2 years ago, which I know y'all have only heard a million times by now, but I got to remind you every single time. And yeah, if you use code FLOCK on Underdog, you would get my 2024 rankings. You will get my 2024 draft guide. You will get a 50% deposit bonus up to $250. And Underdog is a site-wide special right now as well, where Gunnar Henderson, I believe that's how you say this guy's name, higher, lower, half a home run for the home run derby. So they're giving you a free pick 'em as well to celebrate the home run derby. But anyway, Raymond asking why we don't draft really any weekly winners tournaments on the live stream. I understand what I'm good at, and I understand what I am bad at. I've had a ton of success in the past. I've won multiple Underdog tournaments. We've taken down some key spots, specifically with the regular setup. When you go over to weekly winners, it's so much further removed that I have no idea where to even begin from a strategy perspective. It hurts my brain. It's so far away from what I would typically be thinking about as we draft these teams that personally, I am not a big weekly winners guy. I know other people, especially people who love DFS, love the weekly winners tournament on Underdog, but it's just not my cup of tea, which is completely fine. Cameron says 12-team Superflex. We have Burrow, Kyler already. Traded Goff and Warren for Baker in a first. How are we feeling? I'd way rather have the first over Jalen Warren. I'd rather have Goff over Baker, but I mean, I definitely think it gives you flexibility. It really comes down to what your personal expectations are for Baker Mayfield. I mean, obviously Baker does have a ton of comparisons to Goff. If you think that Baker is going to continue on this like late career trajectory that Jared Goff just had. But we go Sam Laporta at 39. I think that when we go wide receiver at the gate, it gives us the flexibility to take an elite tight end and an elite quarterback at the 3-4 turn. So we're going to go ahead. We will reach on Jalen Hurts here. With Jalen Hurts, he can potentially be the QB1 overall. He stacks with A.J. Brown for us as well, so we do get that correlating piece in this lineup. Kelce, definitely a great option, but we went with Sam Laporta at 34, right? So when we go Laporta at 34, I'm not going to go Kelce at 39. But I love the elite tight end and the elite quarterback prices right now. The only time you're allowed to go with the elite tight end and the elite quarterback of the turn, however, is specifically when you go wide receiver out the gate. Just because we know, say we went with Jahmyr Gibbs in round 1, and then all of a sudden we only have Drake London through the first 3 rounds, then it's going to be so damn hard to catch up at wide receiver later on. Where here, I think A.J. Brown, London, we at least have a shot to catch up at wide receiver. Okay. So Mitchell says Neighbors at 31 is surprising. I think Neighbors is going to fall. I know Neighbors has an ADP of 26. Actually, I don't want to say I know Neighbors is going to fall because you have the Giants Hard Knocks out right now. And typically, we're going to get a Hard Knocks bump. Now, it's a little bit different, not a typical Hard Knocks season. But can y'all spam the chat? Have y'all seen the new Hard Knocks? Is it good? Would you recommend me watching it? Okay. Vinny says Neighbors is going to fall after Mason's video. I think he will. I think he will. Well, we'll see. We'll have the Flock Fantasy I don't want to say hatred. What's a good word for it? Smear campaign is. Let me look up the definition of a smear campaign. Smear campaign. A plan to discredit or a public figure by making false or dubious accusations. I'm not going to be making any false accusations. I'll say that. But instead, we'll be going against neighbors with historical data and why he does not make sense at the 2-3 turn. But you'll also have the Giants hard knock. So we'll be battling it out with them. Okay. We have some people recommending it. Lowe says no, going to watch receiver though. When did receiver come out? Because we have so many rabbit holes to go down. A Hockey says top 3 picks you out on your $100,000 winning roster. So the roster that we took down the big dog with 2 years ago, we went Christian McCaffrey round 1. We went AJ Brown round 2. This is his first year in Philly. People really didn't know what to expect. And what's funny enough, it's not like I was a massive AJ Brown guy, but we ended up taking him. We took Devonta Smith like round 7 as well, which really helped us because we went just with an anchor wide receiver in that build. I don't remember who our round 3 pick was, though. I know that it was like what we were sweating at the very end, and we're going to go wide receiver here, especially after going with the elite quarterback and tight end at the 3-4 turn. What we were sweating at the very end of that $100,000 tournament was Christian McCaffrey versus Devontae Adams. There are a couple teams that I was going up against that had a chance to win the tournament that had Devontae Adams. I had Christian McCaffrey. I think the Raiders went into like a double overtime and Adams went freaking nuclear and he had like 200 receiving yards. So it was a massive sweat. Very rarely does my girlfriend ever see me like watch a football game and freak out like, oh my gosh, and yelling at the TV. But yeah, that was like the one game where I was freaking out. Okay. So after we take a Mr. Keenan Allen there in the 5th round, we definitely have the flexibility if we want to go with running back in round 6, especially now that we have our favorite wide receiver gone in Jordan Addison. And on top of this, if you were looking at the setup, we already have Jalen Hurts, so an elite quarterback here doesn't make that much sense. So I think we could go Mixon. We could go Rachaad White. We'll go ahead. We'll take Mixon literally just for the only reason he's at the top of ADP here. So we should be able to get Rachaad White maybe in another draft a little bit later, but they're about the same for me. I do think Mixon probably has a little more touchdown upside just because his offense is better. But a couple different things. One, I will say, so I used to, whenever I'm working on my computer, 100% of the time, my brain's broken. I'm an iPad kid, apparently. Because I have to have on my second monitor a YouTube video playing like 24/7, whether it's a podcast or whatever it is. But I feel like I've done that for years. So at this point, I feel like I've watched everything there is to see on YouTube. So what I've done for the first time like ever is as I work now, I've been on that second monitor. I've been putting on Netflix, which for me, I'm a big YouTube guy. I just watch YouTube 24/7. And I've watched Breaking Bad like two or three times already. This is my 3rd or 4th time watching Breaking Bad. But I'm already 3 seasons in, and I've been doing this for like a week. And I've watched the first 3 seasons. So, little personal update. But today when I loaded up Netflix to throw it on the computer, I did see receivers. And I was like, oh, wait, how old is that? How old is that? Okay. USA Hockey says, I draft Worthy and Coleman in the hundreds on Yahoo. They are steals. Are those real dollar leaks you're getting in there, my friend? Please let me know. So Better Call Saul, I've tried watching. So I've tried watching Better Call Saul twice. The first time was when it was like coming out live on TV, because I had watched Breaking Bad live on TV with my dad like way back when. So then when Better Call Saul started coming out, like every night I would watch the episode whenever it premiered. So I watched season 1 whenever the season came out. Then I never followed up with season 2. I think I went to college or something. Maybe I was in college. I don't even remember about what time. But then last year, the girlfriend and I tried to sit down and watch all of Better Call Saul. I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was like the football season started and then all of a sudden I just can't watch anything. But I didn't make it. I made it till, spoiler alert, skip 10 seconds if you don't want to hear this. I made it until the blonde girl got in the car wreck, and then I don't think I watched anything after that. Okay. USA Hockey says, only $20 though, but they have them very late. Very interesting. Is it a tournament-style contest for weeks 15, 16, 17? If they're going in pick 100s? If so, I would literally come away with them in every single draft. Okay, I think we're probably in a spot here to go ahead and take a running back. I think we're going to take Ramondre Stevenson. Kyler doesn't make that much sense. There'll be better spots to take Kyler Murray, right? There'll be other drafts where maybe we didn't have Jalen Hurts. Maybe we took Trey McBride. Maybe we took Marvin Harrison Jr. And on those builds, yeah, makes a lot more sense for us to go ahead and take Kyler Murray here. But specifically with this team where we already have Jalen Hurts, we don't have any Arizona stacks. It doesn't make sense to take him and then try to force a stack later on. Maybe it would have in a different draft where we didn't take Jalen Hurts. As I do like the Kyler price point. Slayton says, pick 2 PPR keepers based on last year's draft. Bijan round 1, Brees round 3, HN round 8, Tank Dell round 17. Very interesting question, my friend. Let me make this pick, and then we're going to go right back to it. Because typically with keeper leagues, my rule of thumb is keep the best player. Don't overthink it. A lot of times people go, oh, Tank Dell round 17, such a good value. I need to keep him. And then all of a sudden they pass up Bijan Robinson when Bijan costs like a 5th round pick. And it's like the difference between a 5th round pick and a 17th round pick, it's not enough to take Tank Dell over Bijan. But here it's very interesting because Bijan's a round 1 selection, which in a 2-player keeper league, we can assume is more like a late 2nd round pick in terms of the player that you're going to get. I'll say for a fact, Brees Hall would be my guy there in round 3. I'm keeping him. Then the next question is going to come down to Bijan in round 1 or Achane in round 8. I would rather have Achane in round 8 pretty easily over Tank Dell, to be honest with you. So going ahead and looking at what we have, say, with Bijan round 1, which keep in mind it's a keeper league. So with that aspect of things, we should expect it to be like a late 2nd round pick, essentially. So the question is, would you rather have Bijan Robinson or Achane and Chris Olave? Would you rather have Bijan Robinson or Achane and Jalen Waddle? Would you rather have Bijan Robinson or Achane and Nico Collins? Would you rather have Bijan Robinson or Achane and Drake London? If you put it like that, I would probably rather have Bijan. I'd probably rather just keep Bijan and Brees. But I wouldn't fault you at all if you wanted to go Achane. Especially, I mean, if you're in a spot that, I don't know. If you're in a spot where you're picking at the top of the draft, obviously it'd be a lot more willing to just hold on to that round 1 pick. Shermy says, what are your best values for ESPN ADPs? I have not looked at ESPN ADPs enough to let you know that, my friend. I'm definitely going to be diving into more redraft ADPs later in the month than we are right now. But I think the vast majority of people are drafting on Underdog at the moment. But Naeem says, Mason, are you in on the hype with the 3663 build? So obviously, Best Ball Mania was won by that build last year. So what happens, and if you haven't noticed this in the Underdog community, whatever worked literally 6 months ago, everybody spazzes. And everybody just thinks that, I'm smart. I saw what happened last year. I'm going to copy what happened and think it's going to work for me this year. Where every single time you catch people chasing what worked last season. And of course, it's not going to repeat. There's so many examples of this. If you go back to what won the first Best Ball Mania, the first Best Ball Mania was a hyper fragile running back draft strategy where you take essentially 4 running backs right away and then you just roster as many wide receivers as you possibly can. So the second year on Underdog, every single person and their mom that were the smart drafters were drafting with a hyper fragile build, and they all got absolutely crushed chasing what happened the year prior. You go back to 2 years ago. What won that season? Whenever I won multiple tournaments, whenever I got 16th place in Best Ball Mania, what won was elite level quarterback. So what did everybody do the next year? Everybody the next season went, I guess drafting an elite quarterback like Patrick Mahomes in round 5 was great. Let's draft elite quarterbacks in round 1 and 2. Everybody and their mom is drafting Josh Allen at the end of the first, Jalen Hurts at the beginning of the second. And what happens? All of a sudden, you have elite quarterback failing in 2023. And now you see this year, Josh Allen's a 4th round pick. He's not going at the 1-2 turn. Jalen Hurts is a 4th round pick. He's not going at the 1-2 turn. And people go, 3 quarterbacks builds won Best Ball Mania last year. So let me go through and let me draft 3 quarterbacks this year. No, the price points are absolutely different. I really don't like the 3-6-6-3 build. For ADPs this year, I think it makes no sense. I think elite tight ends, great value. Elite quarterbacks, great value. I think they are great values because everybody's chasing the construction that won last season instead of stepping back and looking at the larger picture. This is where I agree that the 3-6-6-3 build makes sense. And you will see me draft a considerable amount of 3-6-6-3 builds specifically for the Eliminator tournament where you're not thinking about overall week-to-week upside, and instead what you're thinking about is the week-to-week floor. So I think a 3-6-6-3 build can work if that's what falls to you in your draft. If all of a sudden the elite quarterbacks, the elite tight ends go way earlier than ADP, and you're like, I took 5 wide receivers out the gate, then we slam running backs in the middle rounds, then yeah, go 3-6-6-3. But that's not my plan stepping into these draft rooms. The only time it's my plan stepping into a draft room is stepping into the Eliminator, which is a completely different contest. Okay. Now, let's move this over. So if we're looking at potential quarterback stacking options, quarterback, we have the option to go Kirk Cousins later with London. We have the option to go Justin Herbert here in round 12 with Palmer. And we could decide to go ahead and take Lawrence here at 130 and then follow it up with Gabe Davis on the way back around, which is what I actually may do here. We're going to go for it. We're going to take Trevor Lawrence as our QB2, and then we're going to take Gabe Davis on the way back around. We're sending up a prayer that we get Gabe Davis on the way back around. Not guaranteed. Okay, Mike Williams goes. This may have been botched, ladies and gentlemen. The only other Jag we could possibly go with is Tank Bigsby in round 18 if we whiff on Gabe Davis. And obviously, we're not super pumped to go with the running back correlating piece with Lawrence. Charbonnet goes. We're a pick away. It's either Davis or it's Eckler. We get Gabe Davis. Let's go. Let's fire it up. And yes, this will be a team where we only draft 2 quarterbacks. I think getting Jalen Hurts in round 4, getting Trevor Lawrence to pick 130, going 2 QBs is, I don't want to say for sure optimal, but it really feels like it did 2 years ago, where you're able to take these quarterbacks that, Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, they can drop 400 points in a season. They can just go freaking nuclear. Okay. Hartnell says, my 2 most drafted players are Brian Thomas and Gabe Davis. Should probably lower that a bit. It's interesting if you are looking at Davis. I actually liked this price point last year. If y'all remember in Underdog drafts 2 years ago, he was going at the 3-4 turn, which was freaking nuts. Yeah, Stephon Diggs was the cemented wide receiver 1 with a 25% team target share. Gabe Davis was a late third, early fourth. Now Gabe Davis, I would for sure confidently say that he is a smash pick if it wasn't for the selection of Brian Thomas. But when you add in Brian Thomas Jr., you do really have to be betting on the Jacksonville Jaguars offense to be going that heavy in. You have to think that Lawrence, if it works out, it's because we learn, oh my gosh, Lawrence at the end of last year fell off, saw the drop off, not because of anything to do with his talent, but strictly due to the injury. And now that he's fully healthy, he's going to go out there and he's absolutely going to crush, which is a real possibility. But I do not know. Let's move this around. I will say I'm not drafting much Christian Kirk right now. I think Kirk may be an interesting pick in eliminator drafts where it's about your weekly floor, but I don't really know what the year-long upside is for someone like Christian Kirk. Okay. Silver Yoshi says, my highest team exposure is the Jags. I just always get them at value. We're going to go Sticky Ricky here at 154. Ricky's going to continue to fall if Brandon Ayuk does not get traded. Like, Ricky has been falling in drafts as late, and it makes a ton of sense because his previous ADP was under the assumption that there was a percentage chance that Ayuk was dealt out of San Francisco. As we get closer to the start of the season, every day that goes by, it looks a little less likely that is going to happen. And if it doesn't happen, Sticky Ricky is the fifth option in San Fran. So you're going to see him continue to fall in ADP until we get to the start of the year. And then he's going to be going much lower than he is now if Ayuk and Debo are both still there. Or obviously if Ayuk gets dealt, this is someone that jumps up 3-4 rounds. Okay. Now, I don't know what we should be doing here. It seems like Roman Wilson's another one of these guys that has been falling. I think we're going to go ahead. We're going to reach on Chuba Hubbard. We're going to lock in the Carolina backfield points because, of course, we love just horrendous offenses. The real reason is the Vidal price tag does seem pretty damn expensive for what his expected range of outcomes should be as a prospect. And I've already drafted a crap ton of Tyler Algier. Like, let me look at the two separate exposures that we have right now. Let's look at Algier versus Chuba. I have Algier in 17% of leagues, and I have Chuba in 4%. And yeah, I definitely think we need to balance that out. But Tyler Algier is one of my most drafted running backs. Okay. J-Ox says, what's the case on Hurts over Lamar? Wouldn't the rushing upside go down due to Saquon? You could say the same thing regarding Derrick Henry. If anything, Saquon's a much better receiving back than Henry. And I'm not saying that the running backs here should dictate how you value those quarterbacks in those respective offenses. But I just think it'd be difficult to say, oh my gosh, Saquon Barkley really hurts Jalen Hurts, and Derrick Henry doesn't affect Lamar. Cade says, not a massive fan of the team so far. Let's go ahead and let's check out your team, Cade. So the Cade's team's at 11. Goes Puka, Taylor out the gate. Flowers, Allen. I was hoping you were going to give us Josh Allen. Pitts at 59. Yeah, so the thing is, when you have two wide receivers there through the first 5 rounds, it is going to be difficult to come back from. Worthy, Zamir, Sutton, Shakir. I think the team would have looked really good if you had Curtis Samuel just falling to you two more picks to 107. Yeah, I think if you had Curtis Samuel just fall a little bit further, it would have been nice. Okay. Let's move this down. I definitely think we can get away with drafting 3 tight ends. I know 99% of the time people take Laporta there at the 3-4 turn. They're only going to take one more tight end. It's going to be someone gross like Tyler Conklin. I think taking 3 tight ends there could open you up to maybe a unique Laporta team in the playoff tournament if Laporta misses some time during the season and then all the Laporta teams get knocked out. But if maybe you took a third, you can sneak a Laporta team through. And also, it's just like, okay, how good are these wide receivers here, really? Okay. Yes, and if you have not done so already, please go down there, drop a like on this live stream. We have 268 votes on the poll, so I'm assuming we have close to 268 likes on the stream, but I don't know how many we have. Franklin goes... I think we're going to make a rare Ben Sinnott pick. I haven't taken much Sinnott. I think it's going to continue to fall just as what you'd expect from a rookie tight end where it's not like a wide open team. And this isn't... Laporta crushed last year, but a big reason why was just you had the Detroit Lions going out and performing as one of the league's best offenses. I don't think that's going to happen with Washington this season, but who knows? Okay. Conklin goes 180. Wide receiver, we have A.J. Brown, Drake London, Keenan Allen, Joshua Palmer, Gabe Davis, Sticky Ricky. See, I think, honestly, we can get away with only drafting 8 wide receivers. And if we're looking at the wide receivers that are available here, they're whatever. I'm not going to sit here and act like the wide receivers are significantly better with Luke McCaffrey and Jalen McMillan than they are going to be by the time we're on the clock at the 17-18 turn. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Jonnu Smith as our 3rd tight ends. And then we are going to queue up wide receivers to get 2 more in here. Who are quarterbacks again? We have Lawrence and Hurts. Okay, I'm not going to show y'all who we're queuing just because I don't want them to go right before us. Just know, in this draft, we're going to take 2 more receivers. I will show you real quick our team, and then we're going to go ahead. We're going to hop into another draft. We are going to hop into whatever tournament has a 15-second timer. That's what we're going to do here, ladies and gentlemen. But yes, our team is there at 10. Tight end, we have Laporta, Sinnott, Jonnu. Running back, we have Singletary, Chuba Hubbard, Jonathan Brooks, Ramondre Stevenson, Joe Mixon. We could have gotten away with taking a 6th running back instead of a 3rd tight end. I thought our running back room was a little bit better than it was, to be honest with you. Wide receiver, we have A.J. Brown, Drake London, Keenan Allen, Joshua Palmer, Gabe Davis, Sticky Ricky. We're going to take 2 more. And then we have Jalen Hurts stacked up with A.J. Brown, and we have Trevor Lawrence stacked up with Gabe Davis. But let's go ahead. Let's hop into another draft. I think we're going to get into the Pug 2. This is a $12 buy-in, $100,000 prize pool. $20,000 for first, $10,000 for second, all the way down the line. We're going to get into the 15-second timer. 15-second timer, ladies and gentlemen. Looks like this bad boy's full. And where are we at? Pick 11. Are you freaking kidding me? Literally, I was just waiting to brag to y'all how I've only been getting early picks as of late. And back-to-back drafts now, where we're sitting here at the end. But Frank out here with us, pick 10 in this draft. Happy to go up against you, my friend. JRV, see you out here at 6. USA Hockey says, I like 15 seconds. It's stressful, though. It is stressful, but I like it. I mean, I've done so many of these underdog drafts that 15 seconds, if I'm fully focused, if I'm at the gym, just not really paying attention, then 15 seconds definitely flies by. But if I'm like fully focused here, 15 seconds is actually a decent amount of time for me. Okay. Now, I actually do have some pretty good news for you here as we wait to get this started. I spent freaking hours today sending out emails trying to figure out where we're going to get the flock meetup going. And I think we may have found a spot. Should be cool. It is like a big brewery that has AC, very important. We can fit 66 people. They serve food. Pictures of the food look great. They're like the regular burgers, fries, salads, stuff like that. They have drinks, which I'm sober. I don't drink, but encourage everybody to come who wants to. Obviously, go for it. So I'm definitely looking for a place that has drinks, food, AC. Those are the big boxes that we need to check. Looks like this place has all three of those things. Talked to the owner. He was like, I want people to rent this out as a fantasy football league venue. So it'd be really cool if y'all do y'all's event here. So I'm thinking we may have found our spot. Brees Hall almost makes it to us at 11. I would have been freaking pumped if that would have happened, but he doesn't. Brees goes at 10. We get Puka here at 11 instead, and we get Jahmyr Gibbs. I was actually in a sprint draft earlier today where we went Puka, Gibbs out the gate as well. Freaking love it. I think that they're a clear tier ahead of a lot of the other players here. So, yeah, I'm really excited about that. And the other draft, we went with Chark and Rondale Moore. Okay. USA Hockey, yes. If you have not heard of this, we're talking about this every night. I'm annoying everybody with it. We have a meetup August 22nd, Austin, Texas. That's a Thursday. And we're going to do it like 6:37. Ooh, this is a good thing to have. And also, like I said, so there are going to be 66 spots available. That's like max capacity. There will be 12 people there, like 12 fantasy football YouTubers / editors / the developers of flockfantasy.com. So we'll have 12 people there. I'll probably have someone there checking tickets. That's 13. I may have a videographer there. That's 14. And then say my girlfriend will be there. That's 15. So we have like about 50 spots open for people who are wanting to come. So should have enough. And because we have only 50 spots, we are going to quote unquote sell tickets. It's pretty much, we're just going to go through, sell tickets for like $10 each. That way we know who's coming. That way we don't rent out the place and then 5 people show up, or we don't rent out the place and 200 people show up trying to get in. So essentially we just can make sure that those spots are taken account of. But if you are coming from out of town and getting a hotel in Austin, literally just send me the receipt for your hotel, send me the confirmation, and I'll know you're coming. So I can go ahead and I can just put you on the list so you don't need to buy a ticket. But I think we may be able to, like, I'm going to talk to the owner and see if I can get y'all like a drink ticket with your regular ticket. So when you come, everybody gets like a drink ticket for a free drink. So it'd be like $10, but you get a free hat, a free shirt, a free drink. So I'm losing money to have y'all come, but I just want to have like a big party. And I'm sorry that we have to do the ticket nonsense, but I just need to make sure that we have the people coming. But let me ask y'all, for the people who would potentially be coming. So we're going to do, this is something else. God, we have so much to talk about today. And we're about to be back up on the clock. I'm going to start a massive fantasy football league. It's just going to be a 12-team league. But I think it's going to be really cool. It's going to be with the creators on flockfantasy.com, the developers on flockfantasy.com, and we're going to treat it like the FX show, The League. It's going to have its own YouTube channel. It should be really fun. Should be high stakes. Should be a blast. And we are going to do the live draft the week that everybody comes down. All the creators are going to come down, the Fantasy Stock Exchange, Fantasy Lands, Fantasy Domain. They're all going to be there for the meetup. We all got an Airbnb in Austin. Would y'all rather see the live draft where we'll have like the large physical big board where we'll go put stickers and stuff on? Would y'all rather see that at the meetup in person? Or do you think we should live stream that at the Airbnb? And if it was at the meetup, we'd make a video and everything of it there. Regardless, it's going to be on YouTube. It either comes down to, is it live streamed at the Airbnb or is it a video from the meetup? What I'm most interested in knowing is if you think you're going to be at the meetup, would you want to see it in person or would you rather just hang out, talk, get drinks? What do y'all want? Okay. We got one vote to stream it rather than video at the meetup, but USA Hockey says, if you don't drink, get a ticket and hook me up. I promise you, I'll hook one of y'all up with my drink ticket. Stream, Airbnb. We have one developer on the site that doesn't play fantasy football. So I'm assuming he's going to be the taco. But Fantasyland out here says, all I know is Bijan Robinson is mine. My friend, I haven't seen, where do you have Bijan ranked? I have Bijan behind Brees. I'm going Brees over Bijan. So I'm assuming Bijan is yours. But yeah, real quick, let me send out the link to that new YouTube channel if y'all are interested in going through, following all that. Should be a ton of fun. I'm super excited about it. No videos on it yet, but I made the announcement in Discord and sent the link today. That was the first place that we sent it. And I was really surprised to see I already have over 100 subscribers on the channel. So I'm going to send that in the live chat just in case you didn't see it in the Discord and want to subscribe. Okay. I will be Rafi. I'm just kidding. If I had to guess who's going to be Rafi, I feel like I'm going to be like Kevin. I actually met Kevin in person. I forgot what his real name is, but I met him in person. He did a show at Joe Rogan's Comedy Club like earlier this year in Austin. And I was like, oh, I for sure got to go. Met him, took a picture with him. Really cool. I think Danny would probably be the Rafi, if I got to be honest. Yeah, Steve Ranazizi. That was his name. But I feel like I'll most likely be like the Kevin. Okay. So we went Flowers. Oh, we essentially just need 2 wide receivers through the first 4 rounds. Y'all know I'm obsessed with Laporta at the 3-4 turn, specifically in these tournament-style contests where we need to be looking for upside in weeks 15, 16, 17. So Laporta for me is going to be a pick I make often. And then we're kind of forced to go ahead and take a wide receiver once we go Laporta. So now we have Gibbs, Laporta for Detroit, and we have Puka and Flowers at wide receiver. See what Frank decides to do. Assuming we see an Anthony Richardson pick, he is Pittman. He goes Worthy. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take our guy Addison. I understand it's a big reach. It is what it is. Give me my guy. Pitts goes. I don't know what we want to do now. We're just going to take Mixon. Don't feel comfortable about it. I don't know if it was the right call. Maybe we should have gone ahead and maybe should have taken Rachaad White to mix it up a bit. I just think there'll be better spots for us to take Anthony Richardson than here. I know I for sure want to be targeting Goff later on. I was kind of hoping that team before us that went Worthy was going to go Richardson. It's not like I would have taken Worthy anyway, so it doesn't really matter to us. Very awkward spot there at the turn. Okay. Berger says, I feel draft at the meetup would help with mingling of everyone and have more to talk about. We'll figure it out. I'm definitely going to talk with the videographer, talk with the creators, and we'll see. But nonetheless, really cool news about the meetup. Should have a great spot. Should have about 50 spots for people to come as well. So I will try to get some kind of ticket set up and get y'all that ASAP. Rec, happy to see it. Says, Mason, my man, wish I could join you guys for the meetup. I recently started working for Hilton at a hotel. I can help out with cheap hotel rooms if anybody needs. Just DM me. That is awesome, my friend. This is the ultimate hookup. DM Rec. Do you have any way people can reach you? Twitter, Instagram, Discord? Be great. Teresa, happy to see you as well. Okay. So let's move this over. So this will be a spot. Honestly, the mix and pick was bad. We should have gone wide receiver. I don't know what I was thinking. Is that I need to pay attention more. We know for a fact every single time we're here on the clock at the 7-8 turn, the pick is running back. We know we're going to do that. So why am I taking Mixon there? Why don't I just freaking take Rome and then be able to easily take Najee and Brooks, Warren and Zamir and Swift? Who cares about the names? The picks are you got to go running back here. This could be a spot where we force Kyler and then look at some Arizona stacks later on. Okay. Rex says, I'm in the Flock Discord under King Rex. Okay. My friend, I may for sure be hitting you up for some Hilton stays. Najee goes, we're going to take Ramadre and then possibly force a Kyler team. Actually, Kyler goes immediately after to the team that had Josh Allen. I mean, they had Harrison, so can't blame them. We're going to take Ferguson. I mean, if you go back and watch the video that we put out regarding tight ends draft strategy, what you've seen in underdog drafts, if you were trying to take down these large tournaments over the past 3 to 4 years, it has made sense to take a tight end inside the first 5 rounds and then another tight end inside the first 10. And then obviously just go with the 2 tight end build. So that's what we're going to set up here. The 2 tight end build with Laporta and Ferguson. This will allow us to to be able to take 3 quarterbacks. The awkward spot is taking Ferguson here at 86. There's a pretty much a 0% chance that we get Dak Prescott making it back around us at 107. But our primary stack with Laporta and Gibbs anyway is going to be looking at Goff. Okay. Dan says, I watched that video twice. It's why I suggest Ferg. Appreciate you, my friend. I never watched Silicon Valley. But Hardnell says, Kyron is a first-round player. Makes no sense to me at his price. Let me pull up our draft guide real quick. As I completely understand the hesitation that people have with Kyron Williams, and that if you look at his profile, he is a massive outlier. We have never seen a running back of his size that tested the same as him at the NFL Combine really ever do anything in fantasy football. He went from nothing as a rookie to all of a sudden a straight up league winner. So Kyron Williams, for sure an outlier. I understand why people would be nervous to draft him. And for that reason, I think you probably have to put a discount on where he is going in comparison to where these other guys that we've seen historically go that comped similarly. I always pull up these historical comps, and people always scream, well, Mason, you don't realize that Jackson Smith and Jigba played with DK Metcalf. Yes, I understand. Of course, I know the context of it, and that's why you got to look at the historical comps, add the context to it, adding in the context that Kyron Williams just had Blake Corum added to his backfield, and Kyron Williams is a historical outlier. But anyway, if you look at the running backs that had a similar age 23 season to Kyron Williams since the year 2000, you had Chris Johnson, Jamal Lewis, Adrian Peterson, LaShawn McCoy, Dave Montgomery, Julius Jones, Matt Forte, Najee Harris, Doug Martin. Every single one of these players averaged at least double-digit points per game the following season. You had four guys averaging fewer than 15 points per game. That was Julius Jones, Matt Forte, Najee Harris, Doug Martin in their following year at age 24. And you had three guys averaging more than 20 points per game in Chris Johnson, Jamal Lewis, and Adrian Peterson their following season at 24 years old. So if you look at the historical data, historically, a running back of Kyron's profile would always be a round one pick going into his age 24 season. However, like we discussed, if you add in the context of the situation for Kyron Williams, I understand the hesitancy that some people have. So maybe instead of drafting Kyron round 1, you draft him round 2. But I agree, round 3, phenomenal price tag when it comes to Kyron. I think we may go Singletary here at 110. We for sure need wide receiver with this team. I mean, this is going to be a team where we're stuck taking 5 running backs and 8 receivers. And honestly, hoping that we may have a tight end hit the flex spot every once in a while. But yeah, right now, wide receiver, we only have Puka, Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison, Romeo Dobbs. Running back, we have Jahmyr Gibbs, Joe Mixon, Ramondre Stevenson, Devin Singletary. Tight end, we have Sam Laporta and Jake Ferguson. USA Hockey says, I'm a Rams fan and I won't touch Puka or Kyron. Interesting. I draft Kyron almost every chance I get in the middle of the third. If I start wide receiver out the gate. If I go Saquon Barkley round 2, and trust me, I've tried it. It was disgusting. I've tried going Barkley round 2, then Kyron round 3. I've tried to make it work a ton. I can never make it work. At least in underdog drafts. If I was in like a, let me see, where's Kyron's ADP in a regular ESPN league? There's no way Kyron's going in round 3, right? ESPN ADP. Oh my gosh. But take a guess of where Isaiah Pacheco is drafted in a regular ESPN league. Pacheco goes at the 4 or 5 turn in underdog drafts. Where do you think Pacheco's drafted on ESPN? Interesting to see Saquon Barkley goes before Taylor in ESPN drafts as well. Yeah, it's not. I have not really looked at these ADPs much. Michael Pittman goes before Mike Evans on ESPN. Oh my gosh, Strickland goes after a lot of these guys. 16, 30, 8, 13, 18, 3, 4 turn, 22, into the second. Pacheco goes at pick 16. Pacheco goes at the 204 in ESPN drafts. London goes at 33. London goes behind Evans, Diggs, Pittman. I'm just trying to find the things that are most different than underdog. Brandon Ayuk goes at 40. Waddle goes 44. Debo goes 48. Really interesting. Okay. Let's move this around. Obviously, Goff for sure in play for us here. This is a team that we have Gibbs. This is a team that we have Laporta. I mean, the entire plan, pretty much the entire time, was to go Jared Goff. Tua for us would be awkward, specifically because while Odell could still be done around 18, we can no longer go Jonnu Smith since we're done at tight end. And it looks like we are going to get Goff because this team in front of us has Richardson and Burrow. So we'll get Goff. We could play it cute and we could say, okay, well, the team after us has Josh Allen and Kyler Murray. So the team after us is not going to be going with a quarterback. Since they aren't going QB, let's play it cute and let's get Gabe Davis. We know we need another wide receiver. My hesitation is sometimes you see a team go nuts, and hell, they do go nuts. They take Kirk Cousins at 133 with having Josh Allen and Kyler Murray. Was not expecting that. We still get our quarterback, though, in Jared Goff. And, yeah, will be interesting. Other stacking options that we could potentially be looking at later on is we are going to take 3 quarterbacks with this team with our first QB going at pick 134. We could go with Stafford to pair up with Puka. We could go with McCarthy to pair up with Addison. That's about it. Maybe if we take a Patriots wide receiver and then we go Drake May at the very end to say, oh, okay, what happens if the Pats offense is better than people are expecting? Okay. And I'm going to send that link to the new YouTube channel one more time in the chat. Like I said, this is going to be the Flock League that is going to have a ton of fantasy football creators from flockfantasy.com on it. I'm not going to be like giving fantasy football advice on that channel. Nobody's going to be giving fantasy football advice on that channel. It's more so just going to be like content around the league itself. And think of it like the FX show, The League. Or we're not giving fantasy football advice. It's more like just hanging out, entertainment. And hopefully you get a better sense of what people are like behind the scenes. And I'm hoping it's just a lot of fun. Okay. Dasper Cruz says Ayuk fell to him at 27 in the Golden. Congrats, my friend. That's awesome. I will say I am not currently drafting in the Golden, just because I don't like the setup where everything goes to first place. I understand how other people may like that, but it's just not for me. Alini says, Mason, do you ever draft Superflex? Every other format is just inferior. For Dynasty fantasy football purposes, the only format I play in is Superflex. And the vast majority of my leagues, other than best ball, obviously best ball is different. I don't have to manage it during the season. But the vast majority of my teams are Dynasty. Okay, here is a random thought that I had. And please tell me that I'm being crazy. Please tell me that this has no validity to it at all. So going through and looking at the recent trend of players that have primarily been focusing in on building their personal brand. The reason I'm thinking about this is Naeem just brought up Juju Smith-Schuster. If y'all remember, Juju was on pace where he had about the best age 20 season that the NFL had ever seen. Age 21 season, his second year, Juju was lighting the world on fire. And at the same time, Juju Smith-Schuster was building his personal brand, right? There was a lot of focus went into that. Is there anything potentially to players when they focus in on maybe business outside of football too early? We can see them get distracted and the careers maybe fall off. We maybe saw something similar with Chase Claypool. And I like I said, I'm probably just really stretching. I really just want to know your opinion. William says no. Look at Tyreek last season. Yeah, K-Smoke. I'm specifically not answering your question because you're copying and pasting in the chat. I'm sorry, my friend. But we have a big rule. Do not copy and paste the same question over and over again in the chat. DNB says they all prioritize their personal brand these days. Which, yeah, I mean, it's definitely not something I would ever use from like a... I would never say like, oh, player X has a podcast, so I'm not drafting them in fantasy football. I would never say that. It's just something random that I thought of. Like how much of Juju's potential fall off, how much of Claypool's potential fall off was maybe due to distraction. Which the answer is probably not much at all, but it's just a random thing that I thought about. I'm C-Max says, what format is your new YouTube channel league? It's going to be just a regular redraft league. It's going to be very similar to all the leagues that y'all play in. It's probably going to be 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, a tight end, 2 flex spots, and then a shallow bench. So there should be a ton of waiver wire moves, should be a ton of trades, should be a ton of fun. Dasper Cruz says, football isn't the end game for all, just the stepping stone for us all. 100%. I understand that the vast majority of football players are not going to make enough money to live off of it for the rest of their lives. So, I mean, if I was a football player, I would also be trying to build my personal brand. Not saying they shouldn't. Okay. I wonder if I could even attempt to make a rankings video for kickers. Like, I don't even know what I'll talk about, my friend. So, yeah, we took Rodgers in the last round. Like we discussed, we wanted to go through and take 3 quarterbacks with this team. Saw a couple different things happen. One, I saw this team take 4 quarterbacks. No idea what the hell they're doing. They went Stroud, Daniels, Caleb, Tua, as if it was a super flex league. I saw this other team take 3 while having elite options. They have Allen, Kyler, Cousins. So based off that, I thought, oh, okay, I probably need to take my second quarterback in round 14, or I may not have any options make it a back round to us. So we reach on Rodgers. Even though we don't have a Rodgers stack, I was hoping for Malachi Corley, which usually you can get Corley here. JRV snipes us from him. So now it is what it is. We don't have Rodgers stacked up. But we don't really have an option. We kind of have to go ahead and take some of these quarterbacks now. Because, I mean, you can just see who's coming back around to us at 179. What we could end up doing is we can take McCarthy. And by taking McCarthy, we'll have the Addison stack for weeks 15, 16, 17. We'll have the Jared Goff, the Jahmyr Gibbs, Sam Laporta stacks for those weeks. And then maybe we just use the Rodgers points during the season to get by until we have McCarthy starting for Addison. Okay, Troy Franklin goes. So I think we're going to go ahead, probably take a running back here. Between Bucky Irving, J.K. Dobbins, Elijah Mitchell, honestly, I prefer Bucky Irving over these guys relatively easily. I mean, if you look at the efficiency that you had from Rachaad White last year, Rachaad White did not look like a solid option. And I guess if we go Marvin Mims, even if we whiff on J.J. McCarthy at the very end, instead we could go Bo Nix. So taking Mims, 1, solves the fact that we needed another wide receiver, obviously. And 2, it does give us another potential quarterback if we whiff on the McCarthy pick. Hardnell says, curious to hear Mason's thoughts on London's ADP. It's insanity to me. I agree. I think London's ADP is very gross. If you told me, Mason, London's going at the beginning of round 2, if you told me that last year, I would go, oh my gosh, I can't believe you. But I made an entire video about this, just titled Round 2 of Fantasy Football Drafts are Disgusting. Something along those lines. I don't remember what the exact title was, but pretty much it was that. And essentially, the whole premise of it was, if you look at round 2, yeah, I agree. Drake London going with an ADP of 15 is gross. But your other options are to go Nico Collins, Mike Evans, Waddle, Brandon Ayuk, Devontae Adams. I think all those players have red flags. I think all those players have upside. I think they're all in one massive tier. So I think my thing is, whoever would be at the top of ADP there at the top of the second round would look gross. No matter who it is, they're going to look very bad. The ADP is going to look disgusting. So, like, even if you if you flip the end of the second round with the beginning of the second round, I think what people would say is exactly what they say now. Oh, the beginning of the second round, all these guys are overrated. And it's just like, okay, if you're at the beginning of the second round, you just have to take somebody. Okay. Carl asking about Taylor. I think Taylor is a very solid option there, as well as Barkley. Just the issue is, specifically in these underdog drafts, where Jamison Williams gets drafted before Ramondre Stevenson, it puts you in a difficult spot where it's harder to take the values that you like at other positions. I mean, at the running back position later. Because if you don't have wide receiver in the early rounds, you're almost just toast. Like here at wide receiver, we have Puka, Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison, Romeo Doubs, Gabe Davis, Adam Thielen, and Marvin Mims. And it's probably the reason we're not going to be able to do anything in this league. Now, we just need one of these quarterbacks to make it back to us, as we already discussed. And we could even just go Drake May. And then, honestly, that's what we may do. We may take Kendrick Bourne at 203 and then Drake May in the 18th. And then have the Drake May, Ramondre Stevenson, Kendrick Bourne double stack. Okay. We're going to go ahead. Well, actually, let's take Kendrick Bourne first. Because if we take Kendrick Bourne and then don't get Drake May, I'm not going to be crying about it. If we take Drake May and don't get Kendrick Bourne, I'll be a little upset. So then we can go ahead and we can get Drake May there, 206. But let me show this team off real quick. Wide receiver, we are sitting with Puka, Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison, Romeo Doubs, Gabe Davis, Adam Thielen, Marvin Mims, Kendrick Bourne. Running back, we have Gibbs, Mixon, Ramondre, Devin Singletary. Tight end, we have Laporta and Ferguson. Quarterback, we have Jared Goff double stacked with Jahmyr Gibbs, the receiving back there, and Sam Laporta. We have Rodgers unstacked. We were planning on taking Malachi Corley. We whiffed. And we have Drake May double stacked with Kendrick Bourne and Ramondre Stevenson, hoping that Gibson's not the receiving back and hoping that it's Ramondre instead. But I think that's all we have here for the stream. Again, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Doing to reiterate, bunch of different news. One, we have the new YouTube channel called the Flock League. Should have a ton of fun stuff coming there very soon. Two, looks like we're settling in on a place for the Flock Meetup. That's going to be August 22nd, Austin, Texas. You better be there. Three, I don't know. Maybe the other news was I'm rewatching Breaking Bad, which is pretty important. But thank you again. Really do appreciate you, ladies and gentlemen. Really hope you have a great night and hope you get to see you out with the live stream tomorrow.